Well, the okra plants are getting big and the harvest is coming in, so we got to get some canned. So I love okra. We cook it several different ways and I can it a couple of different ways. What I'm canning today is just gonna be used for future vegetable soups. I just give my okra a quick little rinse and then cut them up into pieces about this size, roughly 3/8 of an inch thick. I don't have many okra from today's harvest, but I have about 7 bags that I've been keeping in the freezer that I pulled over the past 2 weeks, and I'm gonna can those today also. So I'm cold packing these and I will not add salt. I'd much rather add it later. I find I end up with a very overly salty soup when all my canned jars are sitting on the shelf already full of salt. I like to shake the jar and then kind of push the okra down a bit. This stuff is so tender, it's really gonna cook down in that pressure canner. I've been canning tomatoes all week, so I stuck some juice in the fridge, and I'm gonna use that as my broth instead of water. That way I get more flavor. There's a lot of seeds in this, so I'm gonna strain it just to keep any of those out. You know what, on second thought it's not, so I'm gonna go ahead and just pour it in here straight. I have a video on how I actually can juice in case you want to put some in your pantry. If you're interested, check that video out. Be sure you leave that 1 inch of headspace, that is critical. Be sure you remove any air bubbles and then add more broth if necessary. Just like usual, clean the jars with distilled vinegar, add your seal, put your rings on, finger tight. Due to okra not being very acidic, we're gonna pressure can these. And I actually find pressure canning to be quicker a lot of times anyways. You can add a splash of distilled vinegar to the pot. This will help prevent any mineral deposits from building up. I fill my pot with water, going no higher than 50% of the height of the jar. Lock the lid and start the heat. Remember, we want to wait till we see a steady stream of steam coming from this vent hole. Then we'll start a 10-minute timer, then we'll add our weight. And once our weight starts jiggling, then we're gonna set another timer. We're gonna process these quart jars for 40 minutes. My timer went off, I shut the heat off, and I let this pot cool down slowly and naturally. Now I'm gonna open it up. Now I like to wait about another 10 minutes to let those jars cool a little more before I pull them out. Remove the jars, placing them on a towel or something so they don't get shot and bust. Let them sit here and cool completely, then remove your rings and then store them in your pantry or your cool room. Oftentimes when I pressure can, I end up with much less liquid inside of the jar than I started with. This is still perfectly safe. You see, we killed everything we needed to kill by an incredible amount of heat that we built up inside that pressure canner. And the liquid is not what keeps any bacteria from growing in the future. It is this seal. But you could notice that your food is gonna become a little extra discolored where it's not submerged in the water. But these are just my canning procedures. This is what has worked for me over the years. But if you're ever in doubt, consult some online resources and use your own judgment. Happy canning, y'all.